Hello everybody, Glowstone is here. Time to review Season Storm. This review's coming out super late. I finished this book a while ago. I'm like 150 pages into Ruin and Rising. And, so far, Ruin and Rising, I like it. We're not talking about Ruin and Rising. We're talking about Siege and Storm. And Siege and Storm already way better than the first book. I think this took whatever the first book tried to do with an origin story and pushed out a really nice second one. Like, you have Spider-Man, the original movie, 2002, and it's a pretty good origin story. I think it's really good. Some people like the origin story, some people prefer the second one. And this is like Spider-Man 2, where a lot of people prefer the second one, just for having a more clear plot, better, not clear, I should say. The first one had a way clearer plot than this. I think this is a clear plot. No, this one does something with the plot. The first one, okay, it knows where it's going to be at the beginning and where it's going to be at the end, and it's kind of predictable. This book is not predictable. This book is, takes you on turns and twists, and so much better than, Shadow and Bone. Now, as I said before, I don't think Shadow and Bone is the worst. I know a lot of people say Shadow and Bone is the worst book ever written. It's so bad, and it's not. It's pretty good. It's just not as good as the Six of Crows books, which is the thing. People always compare Shadow and Bone to the Six of Crows books. When Shadow and Bone, yeah, it should be better than the Six of Crows books. This should be the best. This trilogy of books should be the best in the whole series, but they're not. Almost everything has beaten them, and so I was going into this trilogy thinking that I was gonna hate all three books, and I just wanted to get them over with because I really like the series. And no, I was really impressed by the series, and this just made it so much more. With the inclusion of Nikolai, oh my gosh. Nikolai, he's one of the best characters, and he's better in Ruin and Rising. Kind of a spoiler, but I don't really care, because we're not here. I'm not going to spoil Siege and Storm. I'm going to spoil Ruin and Rising. I'm not going to do that. You can stay, because I'm not going to spoil Ruin and Rising, because I'm not even far into the book where I can say spoilers to Ruin and Rising, because I'm only about 150 pages in. But yeah, so Siege and Storm, it puts all the... Okay. Shadow and Bone had some pretty high stakes. Some pretty high, what's the word? I had a word in my mind earlier, but... Shadow and Bone, you're constantly in danger, constantly captured, but this feels a little better. You have that part in I'm going to be spoiling Shadow and Bone a little bit. We have that part in Shadow and Bone where our main protagonists escape for a little bit, and they're on the run. That was probably the best parts of Shadow and Bone. It's better than all the stuff with, where they're captured, definitely. But, yeah, and then in this, they're free. They're not running away. They're free. They're trying to build an army, and you have, there's tension, that's the word, where it's you don't know when the Darkling's going to show up and attack, and it does come unexpected. You will not be expecting the Darkling to come when he does come. Kind of spoiler, but I mean, not really, because I'm just making you oh man, this is so good. But yeah, you don't know when the Darkling's going to come, and he does come, and it's such an amazing battle. Very bloody. Oh, so much death and destruction with his army. And then the two, it's now you know how underprepared Alina is in her army. You know how underprepared she is. Well, she thinks she's super prepared. She's not. And the Darkling is just growing his army over and over. And it's, oh my gosh, it's so good. Also, the character stuff is great in this. The character things are amazing. We got Mal actually got some character development in this. And the first one, he was pretty boring. like a very one-dimensional person where it's like, oh, he's supposed to be the boyfriend. Okay. He's not much more than that. In this, you have his goals, his perspective on the things happening. You don't really, this whole thing's in first person, Alina's perspective, but you have what he's trying to do, and it fleshes out his character so much more. Then you have, some of the side characters, Genya, Bagra, some of the other ones. I'm trying to get this confused with Rune and Rising, because not David, but because I don't think he was in this one. But yeah, those characters, small side. Wait, I don't know about Bagra. I'm actually not sure. Yeah, Bagra. Yeah, she's in this one. You know that these side characters get so much added to their personalities in this that you didn't know from the first one. Just simple things, and it develops their characters greatly. So this one is done so well. And then now I'll talk about Alina. Probably my favorite character development in this is Alina's character. You go from Alina in Shadow and Bone. She's this character who's kind of weak. She doesn't really know what's going on. She has this scary guy after her, but she can't really fight back because her powers are so weak, training and stuff, so she's always below. And in this one, she grows her arm, she grows her character so much. In the first one, she was kind of one of those main protagonists, where in the beginning, she's kind of just this, like, defenseless person who does what people say, who gets tricked easily, and I'm trying to think of like a character like this, but it's like most protagonists are like this, where they're too trusting, and they think they're older than they are. Alina definitely thinks, I don't know how old Alina is in this, but how old, but she thinks she's like this, she's old, but she doesn't really act like it, and she's too caught up in the personal stuff that she's putting both the personal stuff and the war stuff together, and it's just mixing, it's crazy, and like, oh my gosh, she thinks something with Mal is going to affect the end goal, which is not really the case, but it is like that, and it's done so well. And then you get I'm talking about Shadow and Bone and Siege and the beginning of Siege and Storm. Then the last half of Siege and Storm, oh man, she becomes Dani, from Song of Ice and Fire. She becomes her, or actually more like the show, where she's like this person who's so focused on the war. She knows everything. She knows her army. She's not going to let other things distract her, and she's going to be mean to get her way. There's this one sentence. Okay, this might be spoilers, so skip some, where Mal says that well, not really spoilers, but Mal says that you did something bad to this person, and you like to see that person suffer. And then there's this where she's so into the power. She's so like, I need to get the amplifiers. She got the first one in the first book, and now in the second one she's trying to get the last two. And she says she needs to get the amplifiers so bad. It's the only way to win the war. Oh my gosh, and that's literally, she didn't let anything come between getting the amplifiers and her. And then in the last part of it, she has some troubles with Mal and with the Darkling, Nikolai in the last bit, and it's just, and it's done. Oh my gosh, she just gets that, and it affects the plot, because they're big things. They're not just simple things like they were in the first book, in the first half of Siege and Storm. They're pretty big, and that affects everything. It is resolved, but it affects everything. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, Rune and Rising. I'm just gonna talk a little bit about that, not too much, but Rune and Rising with Alina's character. she balances out more, and I don't really like that. I really like how season 2 is developing into this different character. I keep looking up there because that's where my Song of Ice and Fire books. I'm trying to connect it to Daenerys, but yeah, I'm just thinking, wow, that in this season of Storm, her character is developed very thoroughly. Ruin and Rising, it's much more balanced. She's much more balanced, and I don't really like that because she knows how to find a balance of the personal stuff and the war stuff. She's a good leader, and she's also good about the mouse stuff. There's chapters. I don't really like that. I really liked this book, and what it did, it's so much better than Shadow and Bone. And even though what I have so far, Ruin and Rising is probably like the worst book out of all of these three. But, oh my god, it's just amazing at how this book had so much stuff. It's bigger. It's much bigger than Shadow and Bone. I don't have Shadow and Bone on me right now. It's in the other room. But just how bigger this book is. It had so much more plot lines, so much different branches of plot lines, so many branches of the characters and the character arcs. It's done really well. I really like it. I'm going to give this an 8.4, 84% out of 10. If you watch my other reviews of the different ones, you could literally just go in the description and see what review of the other books that I've reviewed, so you know what I review. Shadow and Bone and the Ruin and Rising when I read that, and Six of Crows books. Yeah, you could do that. But I'm not going to show you that because I'm going to do a ranking of these when I'm done, and I'm going to be basing it off of those scores. So, yeah. Okay. Yeah, this book, so much better than Shadow and Bone. It's getting an 84%. And definitely this would be an A tier. If I had it on a tier list, which I'll probably do when Demon in the Wood comes out. But if I had a tier list of these books, this would be an A tier. I thought it was done really well. Such a good sequel. That's why this video is so long. I had so much to say. And the other ones, like, the videos were so short, but I was stretching on, trying to think of some stuff to say. This one, I knew what I was going to say the whole thing, and it is done so well. But one of my criticisms here is, you see that? This thing isn't really in it that much. It's more the Firebird, which is kind of weird, but that was my complaint at the beginning, like the first half, and then now, once I'm a little bit into Ruin and Rising, I understand, but anyways, thanks so much for watching. Bye.